everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Silicon Dreams 1550 AM. I'm your host, Charlene, and today we're joined by Kuntal Ganguly, also known as KT in the tech world, a seasoned professional with over a decade of experience in software development and a profound interest in innovation. Welcome, Kuntal. It's great to have you on our show.
Thank you so much for hosting me. Quite excited, to share the views and learn and, participate in this podcast. Thank you, Shan.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. So, before we delve into our discussion, okay, let's go over some stats for you guys, for the listeners out there. So, if you know, according to recent studies, the global blockchain technology market is projected to reach about $39.7 billion by 2025. I mean, with that annual growth rate of 67.3%. Additionally, the blockchain related job postings have surged by 90% year over year, indicating a growing demand for blockchain talent. I mean, that is incredible. So, with that impact of blockchain, I think we are ready to dive into the mind of Kuntal, his journey, and what he's building. So, let's dive right into that. So, Kuntal, could you walk us through your journey from being a solution architect, so deeply immersing yourself into, the blockchain space? And listeners, you got to stay tuned to discover what sparked his interest in distributed ledger technology. Go ahead, Kuntal.
Yeah, certainly. So, my journey, if you see my qualification, I have been a software developer and the typical coder, and by profession my interest areas developed around the emerging tech and the business and operation sides, mostly that how this completely technology world is moving ahead. So my journey starts being an solution architect, which you have already told the viewers. I used to design enterprise applications and manage the data center related technologies altogether.
Mhm.
And once when I was hitting my workout gym, there was an engineer, a tech engineer from IBM. So he was the guy who first termed me Bitcoin to me, that have you ever experienced a blockchain technology? Are you working on that? I was like pretty surprised, what is this Bitcoin? Then I started researching about Bitcoin and the underlying technology behind it. Since then, the DLT has been all around, and the DLT stand for distributed ledger technology, which is contradicting the centralized, data repository altogether. And then my exposures got started into this ecosystem altogether. 2016, when I remember, I used to, research on how EVM has been taking place. So EVM is Ethereum virtual machines. So they have their special coding language, which is known as Solidity. So it was quite interesting to see that post Bitcoin, the blockchain thesis came into the picture. How distributed applications and smart contracts are playing in this role. So from there, my journey has started, and sooner or later, I have discovered that apart from the tech side involved, there is a lot of opportunity to evaluate in terms of investing side as well. So
Mhm.
from the traditional market viewpoint, we used to see that, there is a lot of equity play which was happening in this uh, place. But now there is a new thing, which is a token based investments into any kind of tech startups. So that also attracted me a lot, looking that there is a lot of liquidity which is to be derived from the token based investment. So I started my investment journey since 2016, and yeah, it's been like over 8 years right moment of time. I'm actively involved into the technology startups ecosystem, the way they are building, and of course investments is one of the forte which I am also taking care of. Apart from that, I am also involved in various interesting startups, which includes decentralized media, oracles, and a lot of digital discovery platform solutioning, and a lot of DApps, killer DApps, which are coming into this space. So there are quite interesting implementations which are happening, and the shift from Web 2 to Web 3 is quite interesting to see right moment of time. So that's my what my journey is into the blockchain industry.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a very interesting journey. And I think you simplified it really well for our listeners as well. It's very inspiring. And I think, through your journey, and especially the shift from Web 2 to Web 3, I'm pretty sure you've been collaborating with a lot of, industry thought leaders and leading tech startups. So can you talk a little bit about that and share some insights into your experience collaborating with these kind of, startups and thought leaders?
Yeah. So there are two players in this space, overall space. So first player is that there are traditional Web2 companies who are looking forward to migrate their complete operations and technical stacks to Web3. Then there are bright mindset of people, the builders, the founders who are coming into this space to solve the existing problems or underlying the using by using the underlying technology, they are trying to develop some new innovative solutions altogether. So earlier it was considered that the blockchain, which is a distributed ledger technology, was targeting only the financial segments. But sooner or later, we have discovered that a lot of the segments which can be catered through this blockchain and DLT technology. This could be from the supply chain management, from utilization of any kind of distributed applications and so on. So coming back to your question that the thought leaders and the industry, so there are a lot of builders with whom I am associated right moment of time, and I am helping them understand this whole concept of Web3, why it is necessity, and we could see a lot of young people who are adopting Web3, and they are all brilliant mindset of people who are developing fast and deploying faster in this. So advising them and bringing a clear thought process, and due to the network effect, making them associated with other founders or building companies who can collaborate and work together. So that is one of the areas, bringing in early stage fundings for them. And for Web3, there are another aspect as well, apart from the technical stack which they have been building, is the token strategies altogether. So building a tokenomics and token related model is very important when it comes to Web3, and a clear cut tokenomics is the success mantra for adoption of whatever the distributed application or infrastructure which they have been building. So I'm assisting them on a wider adoption of tokenomics understanding based on the business models which they have been deploying. And then next comes the liquidity stance and the market making stance, which is very important post the TG. TG stand for token generation of events. So these tokens would have some certain utilities associated with their product which they have been building. So a liquidity management play is very important when it is going live on the market. So there, there is a lot of collaborations which we are bringing in place, and so on. So this is kind of association which I'm making with the founders, and I'm bringing the ecosystem players, like right from the funding giants or VC funds flowing in of early stage funds, and then helping them build the product, making them collaborate with the ecosystem which they are exposed to, and then post listing, giving them a strategy for the liquidating and market making and managing the tokens. So that's what is my forte right moment of time.
That's great. So for the listeners who are building in Web3, I hope you've heard this right. And absolutely, thanks for pointing out that, clear-cut tokenomics is key and liquidity management when they're going live. So, that definitely will be something that our listeners will take note of. And, now we speak about building and, startups and things like that. So there is obviously the transition from Web2 companies towards Web3 that we spoke about earlier as well. So while building, there are definitely a lot of challenges. So what do you believe are the key challenges and opportunities in adopting blockchain technology across various sectors?
Okay, so if you see the Web3 era, which is kicking in right now, so it has been a long history. It started with Web 1.2, Web 2.2, Web 3.2. We're talking now. I would probably like to give you an insight what was Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3, so that the viewers could easily understand that where we are heading to. So imagine the early stage of internet. The internet was a medium to communicate. but it was a one-way communication. So Web 1.0 was something similar to a page or a web page that was designed, to showcase an information to a particular audience. Mainly the militaries and all those people, research peoples were using this early stage of internet. Then there was a drastical change, which we have seen Web 2.0, early 90s and 20s, which come and people were talking about World Wide Web and Web 2.0. There came and play where the whole internet become interactive. There were social applications, there were websites where the consumers and the companies or the owners, when it comes to an internet portal, they were quite interactive. You can comment, you can like, or you can share views or reviews. So that was a Web 2.0 era altogether. Now the major challenge between this Web 2.0 era was there was lot of centralized aspect associated with it. Okay. When I say centralized aspect, today, if you go to, Google web page, and if you search a Jaguar or something like that, you would probably get a car manufacturing, information rather than having a animal information over there. So that's how, these datas are being manipulated towards monetizing for a centralized authority. Now the concept has come into a picture that, while there are a lot of stakeholders associated with this internet era, one being the consumer, other being the developers, third being, other stakeholders who are being, either passively or at the background contributing to a application or a sort of businesses. Why not equally reward as per the involvement of the stakeholders? So there came a decentralized aspect. So
Yes.
for this decentralized aspect, it showcases that, internet is for everybody. If I'm spending time on searching and the companies are using our data, so they could be monetized as well. So that notions comes into the picture, and that's how Web3 is evolving, and but taking every stakeholders into the consideration. Now coming back to the question that how this Web2 companies are moving to Web3. So this Web2 giants, right moment of time, has identified that the coming era, which is down the line and has already started, are moving towards Web3. People have started talking about decentralized finance, DeFi. People have started about decentralized application, DApps. People have understood about, people have started understanding about that if I'm spending certain energy towards development of a certain applications or consuming certain applications, I should be equally rewarded. So
Mhm.
the Web2 companies have identified that, the shift is happening. Now it is a high time that we start either adopting or either understanding what Web3 and how it is going to benefit us in terms of overall business expansion, either user acquisition or any kind of involvement. So
Yes.
right from the different segments, if you see, giving you a classic example of banking and financial sectors, the typical sectors are using CBS systems right moment of time, which is known as centralized banking system. Now these banking systems are looking forward to deploy a blockchain infrastructure that is a distributed ledger system. So imagine a transactional input which has been stored under a single database that could be tampered easily, instead of it is been stored into the distributed network altogether. So DLT is something which banking systems are deploying right moment of time. It's a hybrid kind of infrastructure which they have been looking forward. I will not go into deep detail to make little bit more. It might make a little bit more technical and sound confusing. So banking sector is one of the areas where DeFi is playing a vital role. Now you coming to the gaming sector. The gaming sector is one of the highest adopting sector of Web3, because in past there are a lot of engagement, like you and I were playing our childhood games. We used to give our time to the development of the game. There are various stages we are been participating, but at the end of the day it was the gaming companies who were actually monetizing the overall capital. So now what is happening is that people are talking about Web3 games. Now in Web3 games, what is happening is that every stakeholders, the developers, the game creators and the players are monetizing, and the token utility, which I have explained earlier, is playing a vital role in deployment of this Web3 games rewards. So that is one of the sector which is evolving, and you name them, we are there. Decentralized media is something which people are talking right moment of time. I have been a partner advisor to a decentralized media company which is known as Voice of Crypto. So this Voice of Crypto, it's a completely decentralized media which they're coming into the account, stating that the news is for everybody and it should be authentic and it should be validated on the blockchain. Okay,
Mhm.
and everybody who's bringing validation would be rewarded in a certain token format. So that is one of the area which needs to be seeing a lot of adoptions when it comes to the blockchain technology. Then there is supply chain management which is happening. IBM is working towards innovative strategies that for the supply chain management. Giving you a classic example right moment of time, today everybody is talking about organic food, but the food which is in our plate, we are not known that it is a tampered or it is an organic food. So the complete supply chain is being tracked in the blockchain system, and it authenticates that the food which is in your plate is actually from the organic, and this is the date of release of the shipment to all those distributors and all those things. So this is coming to the picture. Then there is a lot of adoptions in other sectors as well. So blockchain, you can consider it as solving major problems which has been into the sector. Like, one is transparency, second is security, third is scalability. So these are the three important aspects of blockchain, which Web2 companies are utilizing these three strength to improvise in their current operations or technical deployment. So that is what is happening right moment of time.
Absolutely. And I think that was really beautifully explained, especially for listeners who are new to the world of Web3. And I think a lot of us, we didn't take Web2 really well when it came into play. We were like, oh, what is happening to the world? And I think that's what a lot of people are assuming about Web3. But then the potential is immense. And like you said, it is decentralized where the internet is for everyone. And, every stakeholder is taken into consideration and is, given back something from uh, what they contribute to the internet. And I think that is the wonderful thing. And like you said, gaming, one of the highest adopted sectors in Web3 right now, with where token utility playing an important role. I think that is one of the hot topics along with decentralized media. So yeah, definitely thank you for that. That was really educational, especially for our listeners out there. And while that was being explained, I thought about how blockchain technology evolved, and so there are a lot of innovative use cases and applications. So, what is the one thing that excites you the most, and why?
Yeah, so if you see the evaluation of blockchain, again, I will narrate a story, so that the users could understand that how this blockchain came into existence. So back in 2009, there was a so-called fictitious person known as Satoshi Nakamoto who wrote a technical algorithm paper that challenged the centralized aspect of the financial sectors. Okay.
Right.
Now, what had happened is that they said that, if there is going to be a peer-to-peer transactions which is going to take place, there might be no need of a centralized authority to validate it every time. So what he said is that, if node A or a person A has to send to node B or a person B any kind of financial or any kind of transactional value, that could be validated by a group of people, which is typically known as miners right moment of time, and they can solve the complete algorithm, it's mathematical algorithm, and they can validate the transactions, and those transactions which are being validated would be stored in a block, and this complete system of validations would be known as a blockchain, and this complete blockchain would be distributed in nature. That means that nobody can tamper this kind of change, because for tampering they have to hit 51 above 51%. That is a different issue. It's a lot of cost associated with it. So in short, imagine it that he have released a blockchain technical paper. So the tech geeks started evaluating it, and earlier it was a lot of on a gray shade that how this evaluation of this blockchain system will happen. Then something happened in blockchain. I call it era 2.0. Like 1.0 was the Bitcoin that has gave a way and a direction towards decentralized, decentralized industry altogether. Then there came another era, which I call era 2.0, where a lot of infrastructure came into the picture. The first infrastructure was Ethereum. Okay, so now everybody knows about Ethereum. What Ethereum did that, hey, why not we deploy a smart contract, or we can make an agreement which is being imposed on top of blockchain so that people can create values out of it. So that was the second era when, when the smart contract came into the existence. So the I was talking about EVM, like Ethereum virtual machines. So people started making deployment of smart contracts. And then the third era which kicked in, that the utility D apps. When I say D apps, it means distributed applications. So then the third era came, that the utility D apps started imposing themselves on the blockchain itself. So this is how the complete ecosystem is evolving right moment of time. So for me now, if you ask me, what is the areas of interest that is capturing me, it is not only a single area of interest that is capturing my mind or my thought, but it is the complete shift of the notions, the strategies, the thinking of Web 2, and challenging the Web 2 methodologies and shifting it to Web 3. So this includes from the financial sectors. This could include from the gaming sectors. This could includes from computing sector. When I say computing sector, this is also one of the important sector which I would like to mention. Everybody knew about cloud computing, right? When cloud computing came into the picture, everybody was quite excited. We are going to host our GPUs, we are going to host our, storages on cloud. Now we are talking about decentralized cloud computing. We are
Yeah.
calling it, decentralized, structure of storing your data or giving computation. So everything associated with developing a mechanism where the decentralized aspects come into the picture is grabbing my attention right moment of time. So I give you a few example back as well, the gaming sectors, which really is doing a lot of good work in Web3 era. Apart from that, where anywhere, any aspect where the transparency and security is a concern which you want to highlight, there Web3 is playing its role.
Yes,
So that is how
that's
the complete journey is looking like.
absolutely, yeah. And I think since you mentioned Satoshi Nakamoto, I think I remembered a quote, roughly remember a quote that he said was, blockchain is one of the first technologies in human history where I think the price of admission is participation, which I think is a beautiful quote. And like you mentioned, the use cases especially decentralized cloud computing. So yeah, I think we're going to take that back for sure. And with that, we come to our last question for you, which is one of the most interesting questions for our listeners, at least. So, listeners, if you're listening to this right now and you're watching this podcast, this one's for you. So, Kuntal, what advice would you offer to entrepreneurs and technologists looking to leverage blockchain technology, to drive innovation and kind of create positive change in their respective fields?
Okay, so the first advice is that identify the actual problem. See, currently, every problem might not require a blockchain for their solution. Okay, so first identify the actual problem which is existing either from the Web3 or from the Web2 space. Then try to come up with an innovative strategies to mitigate those problems. So currently, what is happening is that there is a lot of buzz about Web3. So everybody wants to develop something. Every every entrepreneur wants to enter into this space because there is a lot of speculative hype. So the Web2 entrepreneurs are looking forward for Web3 to have a quick access of money, but
Right.
that would upset the complete system. So first, advise to the founders or, to the newcomers or to the existing giant players as well, that first try to identify the problem statement that can utilize the blockchain technology to mitigate the complete problem and come up with a solution. First thing is this. Second thing is that once you identify the problem, that there are a lot of problems in this Web2 space, I'm coming up with a blockchain theory to associate, or I'm building a Web3 product altogether, a new product that can solve the market needs. To do your analysis on higher scale, try to understand what are the challenges which you are going to face while deploying Web3. Sometimes what happens is that many founders come and say that we are going to deploy blockchain, but they are not having an in-depth understanding. So for understand that how this technology will evolve as you grow. Blockchain is not going to stay for only 1 or 2 years. It is going to be rapidly evolving. So adoption of the the future evolvement is also should be considered. Lots of past blockchain project has died up in terms of liquidity because they cannot pivot it, or they did not focus on interoperability, or they did not focus on the community rewards. Okay, so understand how this ecosystem is playing. That is the number two, which I would probably like to suggest. Third thing is that when you are designing the tokenomics, design it that this whole system which you are building is for everybody. If
Yes.
you are if you are an infrastructure, have a tokenomics that can reward those who are supporting the consensus mechanisms, or your miners, have a ecosystem reward practices who are deploying the apps on your infrastructure. Then reward in terms of token utilities and early supporters who are using your testnet. So that is an aspect which I would probably like to suggest to the new builders, that design your tokenomics, because that is one of the important factor that will decide that how the adoption will kick in. So these are the three important points which I would probably like to direct. And rest, there are a lot of stuffs apart from this.
There are definitely a lot of things that newcomers especially would need to know. But I think you've highlighted the main statements and problems that they should look into before entering or while building in Web3. First was identifying the actual problem, then coming up with innovative strategies, understanding the challenges in Web3, researching. I think researching is very important, and educating yourself in Web3 because it's a fairly new technology, especially for people in remote areas where they want to switch from Web 2 to Web 3, but are still in that bridge right now. And like you said, if they are designing their tokenomics, focus on community rewards and make sure that it is for everybody. So yeah, thank you for that, Kuntal. That really helps and will help our new entrepreneurs and even the ones who are currently building. And with that, I think we come to an end of today's enlightening episode. So thank you so much, Kuntal, for sharing your wealth of knowledge and expertise on blockchain technology. I think our listeners have definitely had a field time listening to you and understanding the deeper meaning of Web3 and DLT.
Thank you for hosting me over here.
Absolutely. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Silicon Dreams. We hope you found today's conversation valuable, which I'm sure you did. And yeah, until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep dreaming big.